Wow. Welcome to Targeted, the show for masculinity and success. And I'm your host, Atlas Altman, former military commander turned best-selling author, now bringing you a podcast that you can use. We're sharing stories from highly successful men so that you can figure it out for yourself. Welcome. This is Targeted. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Targeted Podcast. Atlas Altman, if you haven't seen the show, welcome, because I have a banger today. With me in the studio, I have TJ Hubbard, who's laughing. Say hi.
Yes. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. Glad to be here. Privileged.
I love it. So TJ has been in our family for years now, and he has been in my family for a lot longer through things that he probably didn't realize until recently. But my first job ever was with his family's newspaper, and it helped me buy my first car. It welcomed me into the world of finance and being a responsible young businessman. But I'm not sure I ever told you that. Did I ever tell you that?
I'm sorry that ended up being a Ford Bucket and not a Maserati. Newspapers, this is what we can offer.
It's what it is, man.
That's right.
But TJ Hubbard is the publisher and owner of the Bellefontaine Examiner.
That's correct. Yes.
And they have been a part of my family. In fact, I showed him this earlier in his trip here. This is the Bellefontaine Examiner that I had something wrapped up into. And we went through, I had two of these, so we went through like what it looked like.
That's pretty cool.
And this is from June 9th, 1992. And we both read it. And that's the power of a newspaper.
I can't remember the last, that it was the era of still the front page black and white, which is pretty rare. So that's pretty slick.
So yeah, I mean, I used to grab those things every day and deliver them, and so because of your family, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Sure.
Well, I'll tell you my paper delivery story.
Yeah, do it.
You want to
go on, let's go.
So lead with that. So my grandpa Tom Hubbard, who really is the kind of the patriarch of our family, and ran that business didn't run it, but was involved in it from 1930 up until his death in about 2001, and really was the one that grew it and grew its reputation. And recently, we were awarded the key to the city in Bellefontaine. The Examiner was, for its longevity. And that, I can't say that was anything to do with me, although I've been in the business for 20 years in this capacity.
I remember seeing the picture, dude. You got the key.
Right. But I would say to people, why do I care about little Bellefontaine, Ohio? And it's just that a family legacy, 5 generations of blood and sweat to grow something. And I know, you're in your background, that's a big deal, where the hard work meets the road, and you accomplish great things. And I think there's something to be said about, even though newspapers are where they are in their life cycle, that there's just something about that that's special, and you really can't. It's in this little short span of time, it's hard to put words to that, to give it that's true meaning. Yeah,
man. I mean, here, I'm going to stop you because you said a lot there that I want to kind of unpack.
Sure.
Like you alluded to, me and my family business, and we are all military people. And because of the military influence in my life, I wanted to do that. My kid's probably going to go into military too.
Yeah.
And like, that was a big part of my decision to do what I do. For you and your empire that was built, it was newspaper, right? For 5 generations.
I would argue, I think my grandfather loved it. He was passionate about it. He came from Indiana after his father died of a heart attack on Christmas Day. His father was Ken Hubbard, Tom's dad, and he was a nationally syndicated columnist. Had something called Abe Martin, was a caricature. One of the things, little quips, little funny sayings like the best way to double your money is to fold it over and put it in your pocket. So, I mean, things that remain relevant 100 years later, and it's like a good song. It never goes out of style, right?
That's so true.
So, and that guy, for those of you who are late bloomers out there, Ken Hubbard didn't really get going in life, and then become nationally syndicated in over 300 papers. Almost had a radio show made after him. Died in 1930. Didn't get going until he was about 40. So, for those of you who are getting a late jump in life, there's some hope for you that it doesn't matter when you start, just do so.
He was really good at building it after 40.
100%.
And you guys talked about him. Did you ever, when you were growing up, did you talk about all the people in your family and how they did this?
Grandpa was good at that. You know, it's like anything else when you're a kid and you'd rather play with a toy or play outside. You don't pay as much of attention as that kind of stuff as you wish you had. And then years later, you learn things as you see a book. Or Ken had lots of books, so you can learn about him through that. There were a lot of people that wrote biographies, so other people did him pretty good justice. And, you know, they made a lodge over there in Brown County, Indiana. It's like Nashville, Indiana. Wow. Governor was there. They lowered all the flags in the state to half staff.
Man.
So think of, he was as famous now as, I don't know who's famous these days. Who do you think of somebody that's famous, like a famous rock star?
Or famous rock, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But he was famous.
He was talented famous, as opposed to what we talk about now, where people are just like dancing. You know, you get some kind of an influencer presence, and so it was a different world.
Yeah, it didn't fade back then.
That's right. That's right.
And then people were, you know, honored like that.
And then from time to time, you'll still see him in some kind of a publication somewhere. Something he wrote will pop up.
That's so cool.
And so, yeah, it lives on in some kind of way. Pretty neat.
Do you have anything like on your phone where you have like a search parameter to where if it pops up, it notifies you? Or
no, nothing like that. I mean, I used to have one of our former mayors was a really big Abe Martin fan. He used to come in, and every time he'd get a new book at a garage sale or something, he'd come in, hey, can you sign this because you're Hubbard? And I said, well, you know, I'm not the Hubbard, but I'll gladly lend my name to that if it makes you happy. But yeah, people from time to time still remember it. I've had one of the more recent things. Somebody stole the Abe Martin caricature at the park. Right. And so the guy sent me something where they stole it. Then they got a new one and they reinstalled it.
What did it look like?
Well, that's hard to, I'll show you off.
Yeah.
Off
We'll put it up there for people who are watching, but how big was it?
The sign, I felt like kind of like a Frisch's Big Boy. I don't
know.
Somebody must have gotten drunk and come and grabbed it. I don't know, like a high school prank or something.
I mean, you never know with kids nowadays.
That's right.
Yeah, so, they probably filmed it, and there's probably incriminating evidence on some social media platform.
So you said you started with a newspaper gig. Do you remember what part of town you covered when you did that? How many papers you had?
Yeah, I had. Yeah, I know, right? Like, these are little things that stick with you. Like you never forget your first anything. And my first job as a newspaper, I got 70 when I inherited it.
Okay.
And then my route was up through my grandparents. Like, I had my grandparents as a client, right? And so it went up. If you're looking at a map, and I guess we're going to put this up. If you're looking up a map, it was East Sandusky, and then it went up towards the Dairy Queen and back down after you hit the school. So I was walking 2 to 3 hours a day. Making sure I was delivering papers every day to do that, and you know, the newspapers on the weekend were the beast that made my shoulders bigger.
Yeah, and you know, you think of one of those jobs where it first teaches you responsibility, dealing with the public and got to get up or do it at a set time. Yeah, you know, all those things that probably later on in military life were, you know, the very regimented kind of things.
It was something else, man. That's something else.
So my story was, Grandpa Tom was like, I don't think you're going to like doing a paper route. I don't think you're going to last very long doing it. No, Grandpa, I'm going to love it. I got to help do the family bit, right? Yeah. So my buddy Mike and I, we had the Lake Edition, which was out toward the high school. You're familiar with Bellefontaine. And it snowed, and Mike was like 6'2". We were getting ready to go into our freshman year, so he was already tall. But he was walking one side of Superior Street, and I was walking the other, and he stepped off a hill into a snowdrift and went straight up to his neck. And it was before the era of cell phones.
Oh, my
And you're
gosh.
so like, man, you just wish you could have videoed that or taken a picture of it.
You have it etched
But
in
he's
your
over
head,
on the
I
other
bet.
side of the street, and he's just screaming, that's it, I'm done. I'm not going to do this stuff anymore. So, you know, we lasted about a month doing that. It was a great route. It was about 130 papers out there at the time. So, and that was like 1990, somewhere in there. So,
crazy.
yeah, a little bit before this paper came out.
Yeah, I think I was probably finishing up wrapping newspapers around that time. I don't know, actually. That was interesting. I pulled that out of an old trunk, and I was like, oh.
We don't have any youth carriers anymore, and we do all mail. But I think that's just kind of a sad ending of an era, because for a lot of kids, that's your first job.
It was.
And you learn some responsibility, handling money. I mean, later on, I don't know that some of these younger kids were as responsible. I'd get calls from the police, and they'd say they found the Examiner money bag out at Walmart or something. Somebody forgot. One of the carriers forgot. So you get calls like that. Or people, I think expectation levels have increased too. Instead of wanting a $50 bicycle, now I want a $500 Xbox. So
that's true. That's very true. Well, I mean, the money bags used to get issued to you. The money bags were a little bit bigger than my hand now, but like they were huge when I was a kid. Hard to lose. You could find them in the papers whenever you're delivering.
And just like me, you were under a guy by the name of John L. Sullivan.
Yeah.
And we had circulation managers before that, but he was there for like 35, 40 years. So he had a Rolodex of all the kids' names. And in Logan County, that became a who's who. I mean, we had lawyers, we had doctors. I mean, everybody, rolled through there in the late 50s, early 60s that then became kind of like the city leaders. So it was kind of neat. And I never could find that Rolodex, but interesting.
Often on the show, people come in and they say, I ask them, I say, who's your influence? Who influenced you to become a man? Make that jump. And for me, until you just said that, I didn't really realize it. But it was John L. He was a man's man. He was a gruff guy.
Well, an interesting story. So, like back in the day, and I'm not sure what year it was, but I know my dad, who was kind of the general manager at the time, John L. was a former police officer.
Yeah.
And he had that mentality, right? Yep. But he carried a 38 on his leg, like a side piece. Mm-hmm. And, he'd carry it in there, and you're dealing with, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids. And Dad said, listen, you don't need that anymore. Yeah. These kids aren't going to, some of them are, there are some former carriers that would say it was rough back in the 60s and 70s. Some of the, you had to be kind of tough because kids were mean, just like they always have been.
I got in fights when I was a paper.
So did I. I was one of the owner's kids, so, they didn't care. You had to go through that initiation, as it were.
Yeah, I guess.
But John L. Dad had to tell John L., hey, you don't need to carry your 38 into work anymore.
Did he stop?
He did. He did.
How long did it take him?
I don't know. I think he respected my dad enough to say, I'm probably not going to get knocked off by a 10-year-old. So
yeah, that's true.
We're okay.
Honestly, there was something to that because when I was carrying my papers, the kids knew that I had money on me.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a target. And I would get targeted by these bigger kids, these older kids. And, sometimes I would avoid going down certain streets in my neighborhood coming back to the house so that I knew I would avoid those problems. But I did get in fights because I was a paper boy.
Yep.
It was one of those things. But you get in fights now differently as an entrepreneur and a business owner.
Well, it truly is the kind of first job everybody should have because it's somewhat thankless.
Yeah.
You're working out in all kinds of weather. Sometimes people are mean and don't tip you.
Yeah.
You name it. You're going to experience early on a lot of the kinds of things you experience as an adult in the working world, and it can be a not pleasant situation. You just got to learn how to navigate that and, still deliver good customer service and all the things.
Yeah. Let's shift. I want to talk about kind of like your childhood in this. Because you guys everyone knew who you were.
I've always been at a disadvantage that way because I'm not, sadly, I've never been great with names and faces. And so luckily later on in life, I've surrounded myself with people that can really help me with that. Yeah. One is my beautiful wife, Holly, who's your cousin.
Yeah, my cousin.
So,
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in, by the way, for my son graduated, guys. He left yesterday, and TJ dropped him off. I saw the tail lights, and I was like, oh man, got to hold it together.
Don't let Atlas fool you. It's more about just Ohio weather sucks and Arizona weather does not, and so we're happy to be here just for that piece of it. But it's been a beautiful time, so I'm glad you've invited us to your home and to participate in this, which is a little not what I was expecting to happen. So
that's what it is. Well, I got to get some nuggets out of you. So
all right, some nuggets.
So the show's all about it has a lot of people where they talk about how they grow into what they're doing now. And for you, when did you? Do you feel like you had a choice?
No. It's more like a duty thing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Some people have a choice, and some people say, mine was right around 2004. I didn't love where I worked. I was gainfully employed at a company called Roadway Express up in Toledo. It's a trucking company as a supervisor. Had some weird schedules, and they kind of bounced you around to different places in Ohio and northern Michigan. And my brother told me, he said, he's getting tired. He's done this for a lot of years. He needs somebody new, some fresh blood to come in there and keep it going. So, and I kind of knew even at that time, the newspaper business has really matured. And so now we're coming closer to the end of what that may look like and trying to figure that out. But, at the time you're young. I was probably in my late 20s, and I thought, gung-ho, you can solve anything.
Yeah, I can figure this out.
You love that you have that fire for a while, and then life kind of gets on you a little bit, and you realize it's tough. The people that came before you knew a little something that you did not. And
the world changes, man.
You asked me, give you one of those kind of bits of wisdom. Dad, what did my dad say? He used to tell me, he said, life is a little bit like a baseball game. You're going to get several base hits, and you're going to once in a while get that home run or that grand slam, but it's going to be rare. And it's very true. Life is not all big moments. It's a little bit of relationship building and network building, and you kind of figure out how to make your network so that you can keep on a rolling when things hit the fan, and you got to have some friends behind you and some of that. So you just learn how to navigate that way.
I like that friend. I'm a big person when it comes to having that network. How do you pick people to be, and you can go professional, you can go friends, how do you pick these people?
I don't know. What are you talking about when you're hiring people to work in your organization?
You can go there. Yeah.
I'm terrible at HR. I've had some successes just because sometimes sunshine smiles on a dog's butt.
The clock's right twice a day.
And so you just luck into people that way. And I will say that for many, many years and in certain spots, key people came along that then became big contributors and big star employees for a while. And you're just grateful for those people. You just can't even believe that. How did you find somebody? Anybody that's in that business knows they're not going to make $1 million. And so you do it because you love it. If you believe in the whole watchdog function, the First Amendment function of the newspaper to kind of keep politicians and leaders honest as best you can, and keep people in the know about how their money and how their organizations are running. And that was Grandpa's belief. His aunts and uncles, whom he inherited the paper from, the newspaper is a First Amendment trust first. Secondly, it's about making money. I think the whole world's kind of shifted from that, whatever your ideals are, to let's make money first, and then if we get all these other, so we kind of go on the wrong way. And, in his day, their biggest worry was running out of paper because they were printing so much. In my day, it's running out of dollars because that's just the nature of the beast. And so it's shifted some. But I still have that in my heart. You still want to do good stories and things that'll help people. And I'm sure it's the reason you do these podcasts is how can I help people? Because at the core, that's what it's about.
Yeah, I do that. I do this a lot. On the microphone, you see a pirate patch, and it's my ginger beard patch that I had taken Blackbeard's Hollywood patch and made it a ginger beard patch. But the word pirate, most people don't look at words, man, and I know you probably do a lot.
Yeah, my wife would say you're kind of a wordy snob sometimes.
Well, we talked about it a couple times.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think it's as well taught, and I'm a believer in one word can really influence the outcome of a situation. One wrong word for sure can cause you a lot of strife in the news business.
Yeah,
even if it's an A or a the. I've had that happen before too.
I could see that.
It's when it's that critical that you say the right thing, or write the right thing. That
words matter.
Words do matter, and I think in our society, people can get behind a Facebook screen or tag or whatever it is, and they can say whatever they want with impunity. And I don't believe that's ever the right course. It's a wonderful thing that we have this freedom of speech, and a lot of people have fought and died for it. But we should understand the gravity of it. That what you say does matter, and it can have horrible consequences. And be mindful.
Yeah.
And say what you want, but that doesn't mean you're immune to the consequences. You might get punched in the mouth.
Right? Yeah, there's a famous quote that's going around right now that says you should be able to say anything you want if you know how to fight to prove whatever it is you're saying. It's tough, but The word pirate is actually it's fused language. It's Latin and Greek, I believe, but it means to try, to attempt.
Yeah.
And it was associated with criminals because they attempted to do the impossible, which was take gold off of ships.
Right.
And then that turned into something else. And now I have a pirate mentality to life. You know, it's like, what do I need to do in order to take care of the things that need to get done? And pirates, they have a bad connotation for a long time. But the red beard on my pirate flag, it's like who's first? Well, you know who's first. The people that you're serving.
Yeah.
You know, those are the people that matter. So you have probably a family of servitude now.
Yeah, and I think that's woven into the duty of it after a while. I know my dad, I think, felt similar to me. I asked him not terribly long before he's passing in 23, you know, if you could have done something else, what would you have done? He said, you know, I think I love architecture. I wanted to be an architect, but I never thought I had the math chops to do it, which makes sense for a guy who spent his life spinning words. And he was a great writer, had very clean copy. I was always told by former editors that we never had to clean up his stuff. He came correct when he put it on the page. It was ready to roll. Mm-hmm. So that was always that's a fairly high mark because a lot of people screw up these days, and you got to clean up their work.
That's real hard too because everyone's so distracted nowadays. You know,
and he was for sure a trial by fire guy, and I guess to some extent I was too. I didn't get a lot of formal training. You just go out and cover. Here you go. Here's a pad and pen. Go cover it.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of get thrown into the fire. Made a lot of mistakes.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
So how did you talk about those mistakes? Did you bring them? I mean, yeah. How did you?
The
how
beauty
do you work
of the
through that?
newspaper business is you will be forced to correct yourself.
Yeah.
In a very public way. People will see your mistakes. They'll see it. I've had people that were like English teachers and like send in stuff. Every time they'd get a clipping where there was an incorrect spelling or word usage, whatever, people would accumulate it and then send you a mailer and say, do better. And it's kind of humbling. It's both you get mad and you get humble. It's like, well, they're not wrong, and so you just kind of got to take it on the chin.
Stay with us as we stay on target with another awesome episode coming up next. We'll see you there. And subscribe to Targeted Now. As an ambassador to buckedup.com, I get to give you our special discount. That's Atlas25 when you go to buckedup.com to get that special discount. Only for our listeners, Atlas25. Go to buckedup.com now.